What would it look like in your company if for 1 month, every single person was 100% bought in to your leadership style, your culture, and your systems? How would that make you feel? That emotion right there is the missing ingredient that will change everything, the vibe.
Do you know that your culture is irrelevant, your leadership style doesn't matter, and that your systems will never work if the vibe is off? Because your vibe is not the energy that you bring into the room, it's the way that people feel when you leave. What I noticed throughout my travels all over the place, studying different companies and being around different people, it wasn't about the leadership, it was the way that people felt about leadership. It wasn't the culture, it was the way that people felt about the culture. It wasn't the systems, it was the way that the people felt about the systems. You may think that the success is in the plan, but the magic is in the moment. The only way that you can have those moments is if you're present. You see, your heart set is what you develop from what you listen to, from what you see, and what you become aware of through your senses from people that you value. And I work with people all over the world that accomplish all the stuff, have all the things, take all the ice baths, wake up really early in the morning, read all the books, do all the things that you should do, and their heart is gaping and empty, and they're wondering what's it all about. And then they hope and pray that if they do all the right things, that it makes them start thinking the right thing, that some point it'll fall into their hearts. And see, the intention was be kind, contribute to every single environment that you walk into. You see, with the mindset to be kind, to make friends, and then lastly, just stay curious. Once you take your heart set, your mindset, your skill set, you put them in line. And then it's curtains. Then you can walk into the place and you could just be in the place where the moment happens. Your moment is coming. Your moment is in the room right now. And we have to take the time to be able to be present in that moment. But the only way that we can is if you're okay. Get back to what's in your heart. Lead with your heart. Let it develop your mind. Let that develop your skill. And then create a vibe that is so irresistible that people don't even know why they want to buy from you. They have no idea, but they feel it in their heart. And when that happens, you create a vibe that is absolutely irresistible.
Yeah. And this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights. Yeah, this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launch pad flights.
Boy, there's power in a name. This is what my pops would always tell me when I was growing up. I met a little girl, she was about 9 years old, and it was the weirdest name I've ever heard in my entire life. She said, I said, hello, my name is Kelly, and she said, my name is Sit Lally.
Tyler.
Exactly. He said Tyler right away, because Sit Lally, who said what right over here? Yes. Stephanie said what? Right? Stacy, I'm sorry, Stacy. Now you're Stephanie for the rest of the time. It's Greek. It's Greek. Yeah, you got the book earlier from Paul. But this little girl, she said, my name is Sitlali, and all I was confused with is how do you actually spell Sitlali? Well, Sitlali is spelled X-I-T-A-L-I. And I was like, that doesn't spell Sitlali to me at all. But we made a connection. She's about 9 years old, and I was at a convention and for about 3 days, and we were making eye contact, and I'm a girl dad, so I just did this to her all the time, and I was saying, you just better be acting right. And we connected throughout these 3 days and had some laughs and kind of went back and forth and everything like that. And it just made me think, I realized at that point, like we were halfway in between meeting, or like right in the space of meeting, and I was like, I remembered at that point that I have a flat head. And I remember that because I was in an argument with my cousin. His name is Stanley. And Stanley, I don't know, ladies, you guys know what I'm talking about a kill shot. You guys have a kill shot, you have it cocked and loaded, ready for your husband to say something, and you don't use it all the time, but you know that if you're in that argument, you're in that place, and he says that thing, you got the kill shot that will end the argument, end everything, and have him just speechless. If you don't know your kill shot, you should figure it out today. Well, I didn't know that my cousin Stanley had the kill shot. We were bagging on each other. Oh, your pants are this. Your hair, your jacket is this. Oh, you can't say this. You talk like this. You look like this. And then halfway through, it was so insensitive of him. About halfway through, he was like, oh, yeah? Well, my head ain't flat. I had never looked at myself from the side. But if you look at me from the side, my head, I'm loving that they're zooming in. I can see you. I see what you're doing. My head is completely flat. No occipital bone for my T-Spa people in the room. No occipital bone from top of the head just to my back. And I realized at that time I got so insecure. I was like, oh my gosh. So every time that I met people from then on, I would always be like, what is your name, sir?
Kelly.
What's that?
Kelly.
Are you kidding me? Let me shake your hand. That is the greatest name of all time, Kelly. Is it with a Y?
Yep.
I want to let you know that you feel my pain. For years and years and years, every person, oh, did you hear it on the playground? That's a girl's name. No, it's not. I researched it. Because I'm not insecure at all. I looked it up, and originally it was a man's name. And you know what it means? It means warrior. That's not a woman. Give it to me right there, because I lost them all, but you and I are friends. But it originally was a man's name, and it was warrior. And it was originally spelled with the Y. And then in the mid to late 60s, it actually became popular for a woman because of Grace Kelly. Now, I went down this rabbit hole not because I'm insecure, because I like education. I don't even know where I was, Kelly. You threw me all off on this. Every time that I would meet somebody, I would just look them straight in the eye. You said Alex, am I correct? Tyler. It just sounds just like Alex. And I would never turn my head to the side. I would always, if you moved, I would just move with you. And I would move, and I would move. And then I remember something that my mama said. What my mama said is she said, son, because she called me son, my pops called me boy. She said, son, look in the mirror every morning. And what it is that you see, fall in love with it. And if somebody else has a problem with it, it's their problem. And I remember logging that in my brain. And she would tell me that all the time. And I remember feeling like my cousin was so insensitive because Stanley should never say something like that. And when he said that, I went back to the muscle memory of what my mom had told me over and over again. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, he has a problem with my flat head. But I should fall in love with it. And once I fall in love with it, then it becomes his problem. Well, then when I got back from vacation, we were very wealthy, so we used to go on vacation to Tooele, Utah. We had the choice. That my parents would lay it out. They would be like, Hawaii, the Bahamas, Tooele. I was like, Tooele, obviously. And when I got back, I went to school, and I got ready in the morning, and I did that with what my mom said. I would look in the mirror, and literally every day, and I would look in the mirror, and I would be like, you guys ever talk to yourself? Those of you who didn't say yes, you're talking to yourself right now and saying, I don't ever talk to myself. I looked in the mirror, and I put on a short sleeve sweater. Now, unless you're in the Brady Bunch or you're broke like me, you should never wear a short sleeve sweater. But we got it at the thrift store, not because it was vintage, but because it was something that we could afford at the time. My mom went to the thrift stores, and she would get a bag deal. Amalia, you know what a bag deal is? A bag deal is 99 cents. You get the bag, you can put anything in it. My mom could fold and roll like nobody's business. And I would get like 3X I Love Golf shirts because it would fit in the bag. But she got me this short sleeve sweater. I put it on, I look in the mirror, and I said, you look good. Yes. And then I went to school, and when I went to school, we went to school outside in California. We didn't have hallways, so when we would walk across the campus, as we're walking across the campus, as I'm walking across, everybody kind of stops and looks at you. It's almost like a little bit of a fashion show. And as I'm walking across, I'm just doing my thing. I got my short sleeve sweater on. I already fell in love with myself because I fell in love with that, with what my mom told me. And then I hear, oh my gosh. And I look around, and a girl says, that's the ugliest sweater I've ever seen in my life. And at this point, I'm in high school, and I'm feeling like, oh my God, I know she's talking about me, because I'm the only dude with the ugliest sweater that she's ever seen on as I walk. And as I walk across, I kind of stopped, and everybody turned, and they're all staring at me. And everyone's like, oh, and then I stopped, and it was almost if time stopped, and I turned, and I found her. And I said, that's funny, because when I was getting ready and putting this sweater on, I wasn't thinking about you. And everyone was like, oh! And then for the rest of the time, my broke butt got to wear anything that I wanted because people were like, that's his style. It wasn't my style. We were just broke, and I fell in love with that part of it. We just found who the broke people are. You guys all just applauded. So after connecting with Sitlali, her mom comes up. And I don't know if you guys ever had a situation like this. My chain just did exactly what they told me my chain would do. You guys are right. There we go. Now it opens up my chest a little bit more. No, that's not good. I promise. I promise. I hang out with me. So when I had connected with Sitlali and we had done the eyeballs for 2 days, then her mom came up. And her mom, you guys ever have a friend that you're connected with and then they bring a friend in and that friend thinks they could kick it like you've been kicking it for a while but they don't know? You know what I'm talking about? We used to say as young kids, you're dipping and dapping and don't know what's happening. You know what I mean? A and B conversation, see your way out. Well, this person was trying to be down but wasn't down. It's like that dude, ladies, you know the guy who buys all the Ed Hardy starter kit from Hot Topic, and then rolls into the bar and thinks he's got game because he's got the chain and the jeans to match and the boots and the right thing. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about? Well, her mom rolled in like that, and Sitlali and I already had this, and mom rolls in. You guys ever have somebody whisper shout at you? She came in, she got close, and she did a dramatic pause. She was like, can you do something for my daughter? And I was like, no. I mean, this is weird. Like, you're close, and you're dramatically pausing. Then she asked, and I thought, I can't do that. And she wanted to meet this person and that person and do all this stuff. And I was like, just calm down, lady. And then she got even closer, and she said, my daughter was in a coma. And I was thinking, how the hell do you rebound from that? I'm having a good day. I'm trying to be excellent. And she just killed the party. She said, my daughter had a coma. And I thought, I was just on my feet. I was like, how long was she in it? And then she got real serious. She got even closer, and she said, 3 weeks. So I didn't know what to do. But I looked over at Sitlali, and I said, high five. And Sitlali kind of laughed a little bit, but mom was not happy. And I turned back to mom, and mom had her fist cocked. I could see it in her arm here. She was ready to punch me across my face. And I turned to Sitlali, and I said, you just didn't want to go to school, did you? Sitlali laughed. You didn't, but she did. And Sitlali laughed, and she almost relaxed a little bit. And I said, Sitlali, I want to let you know that the thing that your mom thinks is a hindrance to you is an actual superpower. The next time that you meet someone, I want you to introduce yourself like this. And she said, how is that, Mr. Kelly? And I said, just walk up to them, don't ask them how they're doing, and just ask, have you ever been in a coma? I've never never seen a girl apply something the way that she did. Because most of you at the Day of Excellence, I can tell you this, that the Day of Excellence, none of you will be better today. I can tell you that. Where the Day of Excellence starts is tomorrow, when you're by yourself. And there's not 1,800 people all together wanting to be excellent together. It's going to be tomorrow and the next day. And it's going to be 2 weeks from now when you're, like Paul was talking about, when the 3 red lights happen. It's not going to be the information that you hear today. I can't make you better. Paul can't make you better. Mark can't make you better. Tammy can't make you better. Joel can't make you better, especially because you wouldn't hear his voice on my podcast. But she applied things immediately. And when she applied it, there was a man that walked up, and I tell you, this 9-year-old was gangster. And she turned to this guy, she walked up, and she looked at him, and she said, didn't even say hello. She just said, have you been in a coma? And he stepped back. And he was like, no. Have you? And she was like, yes, I've been in a coma for 3 weeks. And he told the story, and she told the story, and she was bow, 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 bow. And then she almost had a sense of pride, and Mom was still wanting to punch me in my face. And then the second guy came up. I swear, you can't make this stuff up. Second guy walks up. Kind of jacked a little bit, so I kind of knew he was in the military, like he had military background or something like that. All my military people, whoop, whoop. I'm a military brat, love it. Yeah, 2 people like the military. You guys liked it when they did the color guard. You guys were like, yeah, but I know who the supporters are now. Yeah. Yes, there we go. But this guy, he kind of jacked, and she walks up to him, and she did it even more confident. She looked at him, she said, have you ever been in a coma? And he stepped back, and he was like, yes, I have. I've never seen a girl respond on her feet the way that she did. This 9-year-old, without hesitation, said, how long? He got chesty, you know what I'm saying? Like, ladies, you don't do this, but guys, we do. We size people up. We are, as a guy, you're always sizing people up, whether you could beat them financially or physically or whatever it is. It's kind of like, And he chested up. He was like, 3 days. And Sit Lolly said, no, sir, that's a nap. I want you to understand that most of the time, your biggest insecurity is something that nobody else notices in the world. You see, until Stanley, my cousin, mentioned that I had a flat head, I didn't know that I did. I became insecure because of what I saw, what I thought, and what I thought everybody else could see. I want you to know that there's not a perfect person in this room. There's not. And every one of us walks in with insecurities, whether it was that, you're not tall enough, you're too tall, your legs aren't long enough, your hair isn't long enough, maybe your hair is too short, your eyes are blue. I was talking with a lady in the lobby, and I loved her eyes. You know who I'm talking about. And I complimented her on her eyes, and I said, where'd you get them? And she said, she said her dad. I said, well, my wife has your same eyes, and my kids got both the same blue eyes. And I said, I've got blue eyes too, but I wear brown contacts. She was very confused at this time and just walked away. I haven't heard from her since. She's in the room, though. You know who you are. And I'm going to find you at some point. But these little imperfections that we have, a lot of times we get so hung up on them, we get so locked into it, and we don't realize that when we release them, or we just become okay with it. Sometimes you make it better. See, I was doing a speaking engagement in St. Louis. I think it was St. Louis. Or no, it was Des Moines. I thought it was Des Moines. But I had one of those really good rooms. I don't know if you stay in a hotel where it has like a front room and then a hallway and then a back room. I was like, man, I made it. I grew up in Lompoc, California, 35,000 people. Grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment with 5 people. I got in a hotel room that was bigger than my apartment with 5 people. I was dancing by myself, like jumping on the bed, doing bum drops. You guys do bum drops? You guys do them? All our family does bum drops when we get to a hotel. Check the bed out. Just stand. Try this. When you get home, if your husband isn't here, do a bum drop. He's going to be so confused. He'll be like, you're never going to Day of Excellence ever again. Well, when I got into this hotel, the living room was here and the bedroom was here. And I got there, and when you stay in hotels by yourself, you have to, it's a little bit of a warm-up till you get comfortable. And I got comfortable probably about half the day through, and I was like, there's no one here. Now, if you're a parent, you don't know what that feels like because your house always has somebody in it. That's your fault. You signed up for that. But if you have children and you have your house and it's empty and you know that your kids are like out of town, like gone, they can't come in, they can't run in, they can't surprise you, anything like that, it is one of the most freeing feelings in the whole entire world. 2 people are feeling me. But when I got in there, I was like, man, at first I had to adjust, and I got to a point I was like, you're by yourself. And I remember talking to myself in the mirror, and you know what you do when you're by yourself and nobody's around, clothes are optional. So I tested it at first, and I got down, I had socks on, I had drawers on, and I was there, but I wasn't all the way there. Then I had to take a shower, and I took a shower, and I got out the shower, and I put the towel on. You know how you loop it? I don't know why that even stays. That's a scientific mystery. But you can run a marathon. Seriously, you could tuck it in and run a marathon, and you're fine. So I have the towel on, and I got nothing else on. And I'm in the hotel, and I'm in Des Moines. I'm far away from my family. I live in California. I'm there, and I look in the mirror, and I'm like, you look good. Because I remember what my mama said. You look good. I love you. All this stuff. And then I was like, and you're alone. And then I started, you ever talk to yourself like through something, like, should I do it? I should do it. Started pumping yourself up. I was having a motivational speech to myself in a towel about dropping the towel. This sucks. This sucks for Dustin. Dustin, I just met him and I asked him, where's Dustin at? Yes. Dustin, like, raise your hand, stand up for a second. I just want you to see Dustin. Because Dustin was telling me he works on the roads here and repairs the road. That's what you do for the city. And I asked Dustin about Day of Excellence, and can you get a camera on him? Because I want him to see his face. So look this way. You can see yourself. There we go, Dustin. That's Dustin. Keep it there. Keep it there. Watch this. This is awesome. This is a science experiment here. But I met Dustin, and he told me about the roads, and he told me about doing it. And then I said, you came to Day of Excellence? He said, yes. I said, how many times you come? He said, I came 2 times. I missed last year, but I came before. And then I said, wow, why are you so excited to be at Day of Excellence? And he was like, because I get out of my job. And he had no idea some dude that looked like a homeless guy was going to say that he just dropped a towel. But now he's locked in. Your company paid for this. You have to go through all of this, Dustin. But I want to thank you for your service, for serving this city and serving this amazing city. Give him a round of applause. So I'm right there in the mirror, and I'm talking myself up, and I finally get to a point, and this sucks to say it in front of this many people, because I'm supposed to imagine you naked. But I got to that point. Boom, dropped it. Boom. But it was kind of dusk. Not all the lights were on. And I did it, and I looked in the mirror, but I was like, I didn't make eye contact. You know what I'm saying? I didn't tell you the landscape. You guys got the map. You guys got the map of the break. You know what I mean? I should have had one of those. Living room, hallway, bathroom, bedroom. Looking in the mirror. Drop trowel, no eye contact, and I walk out. As I walk out, I turn right. But I turn right quick. And as I turn right quick, I didn't realize it when I checked in, but there's full-length mirrors on the closets. So as I turn, quick, in my peripheral, I freak out. Have you guys ever talked to yourself quick, like something happens and you see peripheral and you're like, oh my gosh, and you talk to yourself, and I talked about it, and as I go, I look at my peripheral and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a fat naked robber in my room. And then I had to stop, and I turned back, and I did what my mom told me, which never do this. I stood butt booty naked in a full-length mirror and turned the lights on, and I had to examine every part of my body from head to toe, and then I had to look at myself, and I remember my mom just saying, you got to fall in love with what you see in the mirror. And if you have a problem with it, it'll be somebody else's problem. And as I examined, there was parts of my body that I didn't like that much. But I had to make the decision at that point to either fall in love with it, do something about it, or shut up. And I want to encourage you again. Every one of you was given a name, not as cool as sit lollies. But every one of you was given a name. And most of us think that we need to build our name throughout our life. But what I realized later on was that you simply have to honor the name you were given. I wish I would have listened to my pops more when I was growing up, because he told me, he gave it all to me very, very simply. My pops was a simple guy, but he could break down things so amazing, and he would say sayings all the time, and I thought, wow, my dad is the most wise guy ever, until I read books. And then when I read books and those authors became my friends and they came on the podcast, I realized my dad was a plagiarizer. My dad was saying all the things he was reading, but he was saying to us, and he was saying them in his voice, boy, there's only one business in the world, and one business only, and that's the people business. And if you take the people out of the business, you have no business at all. If you want to grow your business, you'll simply build people and then allow the people to build the business. If you want to build people, you'll simply speak life to them. Holly, Wendy, Rochelle, where are you at? Stand up for me real quick. I met these young ladies standing around the table. You guys aren't in the same order that when I met you, though. You aren't, because we were sitting around a round table. It was Holly on my left, and Wendy was in the middle, and then Rochelle was on my right. Do you remember? This was in Florida. This is so cool because we just met in Florida. I spoke at an event in Florida. They own T-Spa here. So if any of your kids want to go, or you want to go to cosmetology school, this is one of the #1 schools in the nation, and it happens to be in your town. And what was so cool is I met him in Florida, and then we talked a little bit, and I remember Rochelle was a little standoffish with me at first. I remember that. You stiff-armed me a little bit, Rochelle. So I knew I was going to get you, because I was going to get you here, and then I was going to put you in front of a lot of people. And then Wendy was like, you remember Goldilocks and the Three Bears, where Goldilocks went to the one bed, and it was a little bit too hard, and then the one was medium, and then the one was really soft? Well, Wendy was the medium bed. So she kind of warmed up to me a little bit, kind of high-fived, and then I had Holly. And Holly was on my left-hand side, and Holly brought it in and gave me a hug, and then she grabbed me before we walked in today, and she told me, Holly grabbed me, and she didn't want you to hear it, Wendy, because she said it in my ear. And she definitely didn't want you to hear it, Rochelle, because, you didn't like me at first anyway. And she pulled me close, and she said, there's some times where God brings people into your life for a reason, and I know that. And she said, we're going to be friends for the rest of our lives. Yeah. You guys can have a seat. Give them a huge round of applause. There is so much power in a name. See, when my pops would say that there's only one business in the world, there's only in one business only, and it's the people business, and if you take the people out of the business, you have no business at all, I would think, you're oversimplifying it, Dad. You're way oversimplifying it. I got to go around the world. I got to travel around the world. I got to meet all these people, and I got to learn all these concepts, and I got to learn the 7 steps to success, and I got to have the 8 steps to success, and then, oh my gosh, it's the 4 steps to success. But then I go back, and I wish I would have listened to my pops more, because my pops told me the blueprint. He said, if you want to build people, you'll simply use their name and do a thing called speak life, which means, is this Jason? Okay, yeah, Jason, awesome. Are you loving the Porsche? He's kind of liking the Porsche. He wanted a Porsche for a long time, and then he got it, and he realized there's maintenance on a Porsche. It's just a thing, I know. But your car is phenomenal, by the way. It's absolutely beautiful. And your wife didn't let me ride in it. So I just want to let you know. But speaking life is just using somebody's name and something very specific about what they did and why they inspired you. And I can tell you this, every one of your companies in the event, I got to speak to Synchrony last night. Had a great time. Synchrony was amazing. Do you know that Synchrony is the #1 company to work for in the whole entire nation? That's not what my mom said. My mom always said I was the best. But I sat and I listened, and honestly, throughout the globe, they're number 1.3 in the whole world as companies to work for. And they help with financial literacy, they help with financing, all those things. It was amazing. But I think one of the biggest things that stood out to me is being able to spend a little bit of time with John. And I got to spend time with John, and he was a military brat, I was a military brat, and we lived in Mountain Home together, like not together, that sounds weird. But we got a chance to be able to connect. We had a little moment in there, and it was really, really cool. Where is your work husband? Yeah, okay, cool. And I'm using their words. John was like, this is my work husband, and I turned, and I was like, oh, cool, because, I'm open. And then, is it Harlan? Oh, Harlan. And he turned, and it was Harlan, and I was so confused. And then Harlan was like, oh, that's my work wife. And I was like, wow, she's got a beard. But as I was in the room with Synchrony last night, every company that I go and speak to, every single company wants to grow. And what I experienced with you guys' culture last night is you guys live your culture. You're #1 for a reason. People in the room felt it. I felt it. Except for when you guys didn't get me water because I wanted it the whole time and you guys didn't get it for me. They're all laughing because I didn't have any water. They all had champagne. They were celebrating. I was in the corner. But if you truly want to grow your business, all you do is build your people. And the way that you build your people is by just using their name and then something that inspired you about them. There's a guy named Dante. Dante, where are you at? Is Dante in the top or is he in the bottom? Where's he at? Where at? Dante, you got the phone up. Dante has is it Home Plate Heroes? What's that? Home Plate Collective. Well, Dante is cool because I had an experience yesterday. I decided to walk in Rapid City because I wanted to see you guys' city. I saw the most random things, statues of people, all this stuff. Like every corner was a statue of a different person. It was awesome, though, but from my hotel, I was on the 7th floor. The presidential suite's on the 8th floor, so they obviously made a mistake. But I was on the 7th floor, and I looked out, and I saw the big brontosaurus on the top of the mountain, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm stupid. So I was like, oh, wow, that would be cool to walk there. So I got up yesterday and I went on my stroll. I was so happy-go-lucky at first. Wow, I'm experiencing the city. This is so great. And I see a barbershop, and I'm like, wow, that's so cool. It's like an old-school barbershop. And I see it, and it says 6th Throne, and I'm like, what is that? And then I see 6th Throne, and as I see it, I'm like, oh, man. And then I see a guy in the window, and I'm that I was that dude. And so I knocked on the window, and the guy comes over, and he doesn't want to unlock because I look like a lot of guys that had been on the street for a while in your city. I saw you guys look at me at the crosswalk. I saw it. Especially if you were driving a truck. Like, I saw you. But I walk up to Sixth Throne and knock on the door. The guy kind of sheepishly answers the door, and I said, hey, man, is there any way that I could come in? Your place looks so incredible. I'd love to be able to take a picture. And he said yes, and he let me. His name is PT. And PT and I had a little bit of a moment. He told me about the brand. He told me it was Sixth Throne because nobody's perfect. And we want you to bring your imperfections into us, and we're not perfect, but we're going to fix your crown because they have a little crown on top of the six. How awesome is this? But he wasn't awesome enough to stop me from walking all the way up that damn hill. So I left, went on my merry way, and I realized how long it is to get to the Brontosaurus on top of the mountain. Now, when I got there, I realized, Kelly, it's not a Brontosaurus. It's a made-up name that you South Dakotans made up. I've never heard of it, ever. It's an Aesopsaurus. But it looks just like a Brontosaurus. And I got up to the top of the hill, and I did a couple of videos, and I was like proud of myself because I got up there. Don't ask me how long it took. But I got up there, I was on the way down, I got a text message from PT because I had a little QR code, which honestly, I'm going to be out at the table tonight or just around, and I'm going to give you a QR code, but that QR code is not going to go to my website. That QR code is going to go to my personal cell phone. And you can use it whenever you would like, or not. Some of you were like, good, because I won't. That's what Dustin was saying. He was like, I already pictured you naked. I'm just trying to fix the street, bro. So I went up to the top of the hill. And then on the way down, I get a text message from PT. He's like, hey, man, it was nice to meet you. The owner of the barbershop is actually in the place that he would like to be able to meet you. Would you like to stop back by? His name is Dom. Yes. I walk in and I sit down, or I meet Dom. He's outside and he's talking. He's got cool tattoos. I like friends with tattoos because I don't have any. And if you have friends with tattoos and you don't have any, you're cooler than if you don't have a friend with a tattoo. That's why I hang out with Paul, because he's got muscles. So I ain't got to have them. That's what my mom said. My mom said, just be you and have friends with muscles. So I roll in. I see his tattoos. We start talking outside. It's amazing. He tells me the story. He starts telling me the story of his brand over and over. He tells me, he's like, we did a rebrand about 2-3 years ago, somewhere around there. It's like, why'd you do the rebrand? He said, well, about 8 years ago, my pops passed away. I said, how old was your pops? He said, 38 years old. He was 21 when his pops passed away. He said, 2 years, I was kind of, wondering, but I realized that my pops had run the race and he passed me the baton, and now it was time for me to run. So I opened my first business, and when I took this place, if you get a chance to be able to go, it's called Sixth Throne, and when you go, he got this building, and it's a pretty sizable place. And he said, I was the only person in it. And he said, the guy took a chance on me. He said, because he believed in my vision. And he said, I took my chair and I put it in the window and I cut hair in the window. And he said, I started to grow little bit by little bit. And I wanted to make sure that every single person that came in this place knew that I didn't expect them to be perfect. They could bring anything that they needed. And I was going to be imperfect, but I was going to fix their crown. And as he told me the story, he kind of teared up because he was talking about his pop and all the stuff. And then, we went back, and he's working on a sports collectible room, too, which is unbelievable. And then there's this little bookcase, and he opens up the bookcase. He's like, this is my speakeasy. And I walk in, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, this thing is awesome. And I started asking him a couple questions. And he asked me not to share this, but you guys won't tell anyone. I asked him a couple of questions, and these are the questions that a lot of times I'll ask businesses as they go along. Is most of the time when people hear like, oh, you need to change your vibe, or we need to up the vibe, or whatever it is, they're like, oh, wow, it's a lofty thing, it's a feeling. Well, the vibe's not the energy that I bring into the room, it's the way that you feel when you leave. But the vibe also is constructed of a couple of main elements that when you have them, then people can't resist you. Well, the first one was culture. Dom had that to a T. I walked in, people said hello. They were cutting the people in the chair. They were so excited. They knew about the chairs. They knew about Sixth Throne. They knew about the crown. They knew people were imperfect. They knew all these things. And then as we started to look at it, I started to ask him about his systems. And he said, well, what we do is we have a barber, and they come in and they rent a chair, but they have to rent it for hire when they first start off because we want to see if they're committed. And then after a little bit of time, they only take walk-ins. They can't take appointments. Then they get a chance to be able to take appointments. I was like, wow. System, that's amazing. Because a system is nothing more than a list of your screw-ups, yeah? But most organizations don't understand that part of it. They just think the rules are the rules. Well, rules without relationship will cause rebellion. But if there's a reason why, there's a story behind it. And I tell you, the only reason why this rule is in place in our culture is because I screwed up. See, I learned that when I got robbed the first 5 years when my business was open. Every year, major robbery. But after the second time, what we did is created a break-in packet. So we grabbed a manila envelope. This was before we put it on the computer. And we put all the information on how to react if we got robbed. So we got a glass person, a locksmith. We knew where to buy our computers, but we also listed off the serial numbers on them because when you go to make an insurance claim, farmers, you guys are insensitive and ask for serial numbers. And we listed everything out, and the next time we got robbed, you know what we did? We didn't panic at all. All we did was open up the packet, and we were back up and running within 2 hours. Because the systems are nothing more than a list of your screw-up, and when you find that and when you give that to people, it's a gift. Because then everyone in your organization could say, I'm allowed to screw up as long as I write it down and then make it better for the next person behind me. As I asked Dom about these systems, it was amazing, but then when we got to this point, and Dante, you could tell him that I said this, I started to ask him about efficiency. And I said, Dom, what is the highest profit margin offering that you have in your place? And he told me haircuts, and I said, I will dispute that. And then he told me. And we went down the line, and he said, well, we've got 3 products in the place. I said, oh, wow, the 3 products, that's amazing. I said, what's your profit margin? I'm not going to tell you the profit margin, but it was a good one. And then we went on to, I asked him how many clients would come through the salon, or through the barbershop every day. He had 5 people. He said they all do about 15 apiece. I'm a math guy. I love math. If you don't love math, you'll always be controlled by someone who does. He had 5 people. They each do 15. It's 75. 75, he had 3 products. I said, well, if every guest walked out with 3 products, how much would your profit be? He told me it was $50. So I took $50 and I times it by 75, and I got $3,750. But I'm a round-up guy because I want to make it simple. So I said, you mean to tell me every single day you see 75 people, and if they just bought 3 products from you, your profit would be $3,750 a day? Yes? Well, let's round that up to 4,000. Not do it on a 7-day work week, because no one should work that, right, Synchrony? Yes. Let's round it up to 4,000. Let's take it 5 days in a week. 4,000 times 5 days in a week is 20,000. 20,000 times 50, which is 1 year with 2 weeks off, is $1 million in profit. And I asked Dom, what could you do with $1 million in profit? The first thing that he said, I would take care of my employees differently. And what I want to tell you as a community, most of the time, whether it be that we own the business or we patronize the business, we don't understand and recognize the most valuable thing to them as a business. And if we did, as a patron, it would be so simple to buy the beard scruff cream, which I did when I was there, because no one should have crumbs on their black. Guys, if you have a beard, you should condition it, because if not, you look like you just got out of the snow. And none of your boys are going to tell you, but all the ladies are going to be like, ah. But I asked Dom, I said, do your clients know that it's important to you for those 3 to be there? And he said, well, tell me how can I sell it? And I said, well, what's going to happen is they've got to hear the story. And then he started telling me all the features and benefits of all the ingredients and all this stuff. And I said, Dom, stop. But he had tattoos and he had muscles too. So I was like, I stood away and I was like, stop. I said, people aren't buying the ingredients. People aren't buying the ingredients of what Farmers is or what Synchrony is. What people are buying is you. I want to do business with Synchrony because of John. Like I met John. I want to hang out with John. I know the T-Spa because of Holly first, Wendy second, and a distant third of Rochelle. You see, because we had to look at what the efficiency was. And the cool thing is, with efficiency, the numbers don't lie. They don't. You can't argue with results. You can argue with a lot of things. You can argue with emotions. My dad didn't hug me enough. That's the reason why I'm not doing the system. But you can't argue with results. And so when we went down with Dom on this, what happened is we walked back into the barbershop, and I sat down in the barbershop. He's like, how do I do this? And I stopped a guy. He was driving by. You can't make this stuff up. This guy drives by in a truck, and mid-conversation, Dom turns and is like, hey, man. And the guy yells out the window, Dom, you're the man. And I stopped. I said, stop for a second. Do you think he's the best in town? And the guy was like, yes. I said, do you think he could compete against anyone? And he was like, of course. And then he looked at Dom as if to be like, well, you better prove me right. See, Dom was asking, how can I sell? And what I was showing Dom is, you already have it. You're standing on acres of diamonds. But you're traveling around the world, going to all these places, and trying to figure out all these things when you're standing on the acre of diamonds yourself. And then when we went back into the barbershop, I sat down and I sat in the chair and I just turned the chair click by click, boom, boom, boom. And as I clicked it, I looked here and I said, do I see the 3 products, Dom? He said, no. I said, here? 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 He said, no. I looked at him and I said, do you know how much $1 million a year is? It's $85,000 a month. How could your family be impacted by that? How could your girlfriend, how could your mom, how could your little brother, how could they be impacted by that? And I said, now it's time to innovate. Because once we understand the culture of what we're doing, and he already understands that, once we have the systems, which are nothing more than a list or screw-ups, once we understand the efficiencies or lack thereof, now we can get to the innovation part, and that's where the brakes come off. That's where you're free. How many of you guys have ever been free in your job to innovate, to come up with a new idea and be celebrated? Awesome. Like 20% of you. But imagine if your boss just came to you and said, you know the culture, you understand. The culture does not have to be complicated. It just has to be signature to you. And when I ask cultures, and I've worked with companies all over the world, and I ask them, and they're like, I ask them their values, and they're like, oh, I'll send you an email of like 90 things, integrity, trustworthiness, blah, 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 blah. And then I ask someone who works in it, and I'm like, recite those to me. And they're like, nah, I don't know. I'll send you an email. But they just got to be simple. And they got to be signature to you. But imagine if you understood your culture, and you lived by that culture, and at Sixth Throne they do. You understood your systems were nothing more than a list of your screw-ups. You understood your efficiencies or lack thereof, and you knew where you could focus your energy to be able to make it better. It would take the brakes off you and it'd give you wings because now you can innovate. And when you innovated and you screwed up, it was okay as long as you wrote it down and made it better for the next person. And finally, it brings this and it brings it back, is then we're left with this crazy thing called the ability to adapt immediately. Like I told you before, none of you will be better today from anything that we say. You will be better tomorrow if you apply it. You will be better later on today if you apply it. Most of us are focused on the milestones in life, but we're not focused on the little inchstones that make up the milestones over the way. You see, with Dom, as we begin to talk in that speakeasy, his eyes started to light up. He started to realize that he's standing on acres of diamonds, and that he has the ability to be able to have whatever it is that he wants to have. And it's not just about the finances, but what it does is it buys back his time. But none of those things that I said, whether it be the culture, or the systems, or the productivity, or the innovation, or the ability to adapt immediately, none of it means anything if his people don't feel great when they walk away from that sixth throne. And you see, that's the vibe. When I was growing up, I went to the fair, and there was only $3. I only got $3, and you can't win at the fair if you have $3. That's insensitive by my mom. You know what I mean? She's in heaven, but Mom, $3 wasn't enough. My brothers would do the right thing. I didn't do the right thing. I wanted to play the games, but if you go to a carnival, you cannot win with $3. Why? Because you don't have enough tries. But what I would do is I'd go home every summer, and I would go to the fair, and I'd spend the $3 quick, and then I'd lose, and to cover this spot or pick up the bottle or whatever, I would make replicas of it. But the thing is I didn't have the dimensions to make the replica. So I'd make a replica that I could win all year, and I would gain my confidence. Then I'd go back to the fair, and then I'd lose again. And then I got to a point in my life where I said, I'm going to make enough money in my life so when I go to the fair, I can play until I win. Now, some people ask me, why do you want to make money? I said the only reason why I want to make money is because I want to go to the fair and play until I win. Well, that day came, and I was out, and I was doing the basketball hoop. And if you've ever been in the basketball hoop, it's actually crunched. They don't let you look at it from the side because it's crunched and you can't make it. But I'm shooting, I'm $350 in. And by this time, I have a crowd around me. All these kids are like, oh, and then I have a couple of friends, and they're like, oh, and I'm just keep going because I'm like, look, I've worked for this. And I'm not leaving until I get that bear. And then finally, pow, and I feel it. I felt like Steph Curry, just up, boom, and I knew it. It was going in, and I just held it like this. And it hit. And that carny, the one with the leathery face and one tooth? He started ringing the bell. And when he was ringing the bell, he said, winner, 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 winner. And then I had that friend that was to the left of me. We all have that friend. You know that one. Always has a flat tire. When you tell them you did something, they're like, psh, psh. If you don't have a friend like that, it's you. So he's ringing, winner, 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 winner. And then my friend, that one with the flat tire, turns to me and he's like, ha, $350, huh? You could have bought that for like $2. And the carny dropped some of the craziest wisdom I've ever heard in my entire life. It was like the heavens opened up and everyone's silenced. And the carny looked dead at him through the leather, one tooth kind of yellow. One of my teeth is kind of yellow. That's why some of you are laughing. And he looked my friend dead in his eyes. And he said, you can also buy a trophy, but that doesn't make you a winner. Oh! I want you to understand, each and every one of you. You could buy all the books. You could buy all the courses. You could take all the notes. You could take pictures of the PowerPoints. Mine was awesome. Did you take pictures of it? You could do all that. And you could buy the trophy. But it won't make you a winner. You got to be the person that's on the court. You got to be the person that's willing to sacrifice. You got to be the person that's willing to apply and go after it. You see, the crazy thing with Sitlali was Citlali had the ability to adapt immediately, and she made everyone around her feel so great when she walked away. Citlali applied. She didn't only seek it, which most of us do. She listened to it, which some of us do. She applied it. She sought it, she listened to it, and she applied it. I encourage you, everything that Paul said today, I can guarantee you, if you apply it, it will work. If you don't, it won't. It's like push-ups, of which he does a lot. You can see his arms. His shirt was angry like the whole time. It was like, let me out. But see, Citlali applied it. Citlali at 9 years old did what most of us need to do. And what I plead with you to do, what I'm going to plead with your cousin Dante, is that he apply the things that we talked about. As we talked about it, and I went through and I spent about 25 minutes with him, and I told him about his business, and I told him how he could make $1 million a year in profit from not doing anything new, but from doing exactly what he's doing right now, but to get a community on fire to support a young man's dream. But it's not through your applause. It's by buying beard and scruff cream. It's by buying shave gel and by buying sea salt spray, which you already buy anyway, or your kid does if they watch TikTok. And in the event that you do, guess what can happen with his business, which he'll pour back into this community. And imagine if you did that for every single business in this place and you patronized it that way and you went to Synchrony and said, what is the highest profit margin for your business? Can I actually be a part of that? Or you did it with farmers, or you did it with anybody in this place. You see, Citlali understood, and I wish I would have listened to my pops earlier, because my pops gave me the roadmap. My mom didn't say anything to me, but she just said 3 things. She said, you're awesome, separate yourself from your accomplishments. You're beautiful, don't ever compare yourself to anyone, especially Paul, because he killed it. And you could do anything that you put your mind to, but just because you could do it doesn't make it right for you. See, I wish that I would have listened, but Citlali listened. The crazy thing is Citlali listened that day and she applied. And what was wild about it, and this was actually this morning when I got up, I looked up the name Citlali, and you know what it means? Citlali in Aztec means star. You see, she didn't need to build her name, she needed to honor it. But it was trying to be, her mom was trying to put a little cap over the top of it, to try and steal that shine. And because of me, and I'm a good dad, I let that shine bright. That's a joke, you're allowed to laugh. But I want to tell you, every single one of you, you don't have to build your name. It is the most important thing that you'll ever own. But you do need to honor it. And as my pops would always say, you're the greatest, so act accordingly. My name is Kelly Cardenas, Sexual Chocolate. I'm out.